There was this man in India who was into all kinds of sin, and for years he had no confession, no communion, and he was on his deathbed. And we made it a point to say the chaplet at his bedside. Yet when we took a priest, he pretended to be asleep. At that time, there was this Australian who was spreading the message of Divine Mercy in Bombay, and I had met him earlier, and so I went up to him, we said the chaplet, nothing is happening. He said, believe in the promise of Jesus, he will keep his word. I came and I told the wife of this man, she said, you believe. And this Australian told me the story of this mother whose son had AIDS, and this boy was refusing to make his confession and peace with God. But the mother said the chaplet every day at his bedside. One day he suddenly died, and the mother was so broken. So the nurse asked her, why are you crying? You know, with AIDS you finally die. She said, no, I wanted him to make his peace with God. I wanted him to die a happy death. So she said, yes. A priest came, sat with him for 2 hours. He made his confession.
Wow.
So this mother went to 150 churches in Australia to find out who was that priest who heard her son's confession on that cold, dark night. No priest admitted. She believes it was Jesus. He kept his word.
Yes.
I came and told this lady, and everyone had given up. In fact, when he died, people said, Are you should have just told us, we would have prayed for him. And I myself said, Jesus, just take him away. All his life he's harassed the family, and now on his deathbed he's acting so tough. But I saw the divine mercy of Jesus. He gave him a chance to make his peace with God, and he died a little after Divine Mercy Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah. And there was another case where this man had married a Protestant, and he did not go to his church, a Catholic church, and he did not go to her church. And it so happened, and he was into drinking, and he had his own life. And it so happened that he landed in the hospital. It was a Catholic hospital, and my friend was a nurse there, and she had this habit, any Christian, she would drag them for confession and get a priest and whatever. So she asked him, come on. He said, no, I'm not. She asked him to come for Mass, and he said, no, I've not been to church for so long. And she got him to make his confession. He heard Mass. Later that afternoon, he died. And at the funeral, I heard the sister say, for 30 years we were praying for him, and today we saw divine mercy. So the chaplet is so important.
Yes.
There was another case. This man was a beggar. He would be on the steps of the church, and somehow he would join us for the 3 o'clock prayer. And one particular day they were having Mass and confession for all the homebound, and he was sitting in the porch, and Father was going from pew to pew hearing confessions. And I said, I don't know what grace I had I said, you be Father's. He says, no, I'm not. I sat with him and I said a prayer with him, and I called Father. He made his confession. He said, after 30 years I made my confession, and 1 month later he was found dead on the roadside.
Wow.
That's the mercy of Jesus.
This is just an incident that took place on Ash Wednesday. It's about my sister. She lives in Sweden, and we got a phone call from my niece saying that her mother was admitted to the hospital. It just happened that my brother-in-law had gone to church, and she couldn't go to church on Ash Wednesday because she was feeling dizzy. And I think she was on the computer and she felt dizzy and fell on the floor and she threw up. And it was only her faith, you know, and she told me it was, I prayed to Jesus to bring my husband quickly. Usually he goes on errands after Mass, but he just came home. On coming home, he found my sister on the floor, you know, and she was admitted to the hospital, and it was sad to say that she has a blood clot in her brain. But she is recovering, and this morning I spoke to her and she told me, if you don't be afraid, I know Jesus is with me. And I prayed to Jesus to bring my husband. She could not reach out to the phone, you know, and she says the doctor has said now that the clot will disappear on its own. And my daughter just called me to say, Mom, don't worry, she's much better and there was little fluid in her lungs, but the doctor has said that the clot will go on its own. So my request is to pray for her today. Thank you.
Sure.